All right, welcome back to the EV Hangout. This is where the rising tide lifts all boats. And tonight we got a special guest. We got Mavrick and Rob, special guests. Mavrick and Rob from Legacy. Sounds like they've been in business 450 years. The legacy of the legacy. Mavrick, how you doing?
Doing good. Thanks for having us, Ron. It's good to chat with you again.
Nice. And Rob, I don't know if I've met you yet. How you doing?
I'm doing good. You look familiar. We probably met somewhere, but
okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh, hey.
Oh, sorry.
We got the Bream in the house. This is a special. This is a special podcast because we're actually on location at the EVLC, the Electric Vehicle Learning Center, and that is in San Marcos, California. Literally the same parking lot as EV West, and we are currently working on a bus project. The bus project is live right now. This one's good, right? Okay. All right. And if you can see behind us, they're actually working on the battery management system. And and Bream is right there. And we got Bream's guidance in the house, and we got Spicer. So pretty cool stuff going on. And we've also got joining us on the podcast is Justin. He's working on I think it's a Triumph TR6. Can't remember. Justin, how you doing?
Hey, Ron. Yeah, Spitfire. Close enough.
Right.
Yeah. What a pleasant surprise to see the Legacy guys here. That's awesome.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And so we got the Legacy website ready to roll. And man, Legacy's doing so much. And I was actually really lucky to be in Denver recently, and they had a whole presentation about the Atom Drive and all the training programs they have. I mean, dude, they got parts, they got training. So actually, what would be better than me kind of puzzling it together would be if Mavrick, could you give us a brief overview of the Legacy situation over there?
Yeah, absolutely. To sum it up as shortly as possible, Legacy EV is really focused on this workforce transformation that's required for EV technology to be adopted and accepted globally. And so for us, that includes three pillars to the business. The first is training and education. The second is parts distribution. And the third is integration services. So helping make sure that people can get wheels spinning in a way that is safe and gets vehicles on the road.
Nice. And I got to tell you, as an educator, I started my first conversion back in 2008. And back in 2008, nobody was doing this. It was kind of like a weird thing. But I always use one word as the tell all, like the kind of the cover all. People, if you bring an EV to a show, people tend to say, "Oh man, you're not going to take my diesel. I don't want to drive electric." And I always say, yeah, you don't have to drive electric. This is just an option that students built, and you can build it as a hot rod. And when I say options, I say it's just an option, and they always say the same thing. They calm down and they say, wow, okay, that's kind of cool. Wow. So it's those moments where we give people options that is so important. Talik, how's the sound? Okay, cool. So anyway, yeah. So now can you go through, now you guys have training. This is like one of the most important things and the reason that we, want to talk to you guys tonight. What are the options for the training?
Yeah, absolutely. We got a lot of different options for how we train people to date. We work a lot with schools directly. So we're helping schools get set up with programs so they can teach their own courses around EV technology. Everything from intro to e-mobility, as you see there, to EV build, starts on really fun go-kart technology and moves all the way up to doing what you see behind you there, converting a vehicle from gas to electric. And what better way to teach the current workforce of automotive technicians about EV technology by leveraging what they know about gas technology, having them remove that system and install an EV system. And so a lot of different programs that we have available, but really excited about working with schools and helping students get plugged in with opportunities with those schools.
Nice. And, part of what I did when I was whenever I would do an EV, it's very difficult to gather all the students in the class. And so what I did was we actually laid it out on a board. And that has become, there's a kind of a trend going on in the industry, I think, where people are assembling these boards, and the boards are kind of like trainer carts, you know? So can you tell us a little bit about your trainer cart?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, we recommend the same thing in our build process of like assembling a test bench essentially and putting the components out there on a table and wiring them up. And so we actually built a training bench, we call it, which has an entire EV powertrain out on a table. We ship them wired and ready to go, so the instructor can start with it ready to rip and then start simulating faults in different labs and things like that off of that bench and use it as a tool to teach the course. So it's been a fundamental tool in us being able to deploy programs with different schools around the world.
Nice. And it's not just schools. I see in this photo, I can see Terry from Ohm on the Range. And, you know, I mean, he might act like a child, but he's no, I'm just kidding. But that's probably me actually. But no, he's got a young, and he obviously, I guess, took your training, and then he actually built himself an EV.
Yeah.
So it's working, guys. It's working. I don't know if you guys are keeping track, but it's working. All right. So you heard it from me. No.
It's one of our favorite things to see a student getting wheels spinning on a vehicle. Like there's no feeling that's more gratifying than watching somebody demonstrate what they've learned and really put it to the test. So it's very cool.
That is super cool. So, very cool. Now, as far as finishing out the overview for Legacy, let's say you have a vehicle and you're not trying to get training, you're trying to, build a gas to electric. What do you guys offer for, let's say, gas to electric?
I've been talking a lot. I'll let Rob take this one, and then Rob, if you want me to add some color, just let me know.
Yeah, so when you say from gas to electric, are you talking about when a customer calls and they're trying to do, like, walk me through who this customer is? A school that's looking to do, or is it like a father-son in their garage?
Oh, let's say you were a father-son or mother-daughter, whatever, and you were about to go hot rodding, and you got yourself cheap car, but it works, Miata. What do you do?
Yeah, well, we've built our e-commerce platform around trying to walk the customer through a smooth experience of learning about products, and then as customers are purchasing products, we support them in the background. We like to consider ourselves the one-stop shop for getting your wheels spinning, whatever your project is. You know, we're supporting everything from, marine applications for Department of Defense to street sweepers, airport tractors, motorcycles, race cars.
Nice.
So yeah, integration, man, that's my jam. That's what I get really excited.
Nice. And what's the deal with okay, so what is this go-kart situation? Because this looks crazy.
No, this thing's insane. It is I think it goes over 80 miles an hour.
Wow. Oh, it's not popping up here. I'm sorry.
We got to see that at the conference.
Oh yeah,
I think they brought that one to the conference.
that was cool. Can you compete with a gas vehicle with one of these e-carts?
Yeah, they're pretty comparable to like a high-end shifter car.
Wow. Imagine that on a track. That'd be amazing. Oh my God. I think you're going to get a lot of people interested in that. People just want to go fast.
The first time I saw JJ zip around our building in one of those things, I was like, we need to get key man insurance on this guy. This is not safe.
We just moved into a new facility here in Arizona, and we've got a way bigger laydown yard in the back. And so we've got really just more room for karting. It's not necessarily more room for laydown materials, but it's like just more room to just have some fun.
That's awesome. I think we got some footage of this thing. We're
nice.
Was that
Seeing
that-
your guys' mobile setup has made me think we need to just get our mobile set up here, and I'll go film Rob out in the back live, just having too much fun in that cart out back.
Oh, dude, that would be awesome. Yeah. Okay.
So when I was at Expo in Phoenix, I actually got to see your guys' booth here, and this is my video of that. But I really like this car right here, the one that has your CCS fast charging on it. I'd like to hear more about what you guys do to have to install fast charging on a conversion, because not a lot of conversions have fast charging, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. That's a cool one. That's using the Felton CCS1 kit that we have available on our site. We've got a great relationship with Felton, where they've got a lot of good products available in the UK, but there wasn't really anything available in the US. And so we inked a deal with them before SEMA last year to help bring their products to the US market. So they've got some warranties on their new Felton Universal Pack, and we help really distribute and then attend to those warranties here in the States.
Cool. I got a
Pack
question. Oh yeah, go ahead. Well, I had a question. How popular, like comparatively, like let's say you get a Hyper 9 kit and you build your own contactor box, and you assemble everything yourself. You have to wire everything versus buying a box and plugging it in. What has been the demand on either side of that?
You taking this one?
No, you got it.
I just think that it's a double-edged sword, right? Because the contactor box isn't cheap to build, and so when they see the price tag, they're like, "Man, that's expensive. Just ship me this stuff." And then you ship them the stuff, they're like, "Man, that takes a long time. Maybe I should." But so it's as you guys know, there's the amount of integration that takes place in the wiring and the overlaying of wiring diagrams from one manufacturer to another, and getting everything in these systems to work is a tough nut to crack. And of course, that's what we're trying to do as brand agnostic parts distributor and integrators. Work with the best products in the market, get them integrated together so that when we do sell them, they can be more easily installed, and then you have this layer of support to come get help from when you need it.
Yeah, so like for instance, if people are watching this, they're asking about it. The contactor box is kind of like high voltage junction box, and then we have that in here. My man Omar installed it. He populated it first, and then we had to find a spot for it. So it's actually underneath it's in the fender in the back there, and we actually have an option to get to it through the taillight. So that's sort of ridiculous, but but I not sort of, obviously ridiculous, but it is serviceable that way. And so it's not easy to package the cars. But the box itself, there's certain things you need to disconnect the pack with a contactor, which is like a big fat relay, and then you need to count how many amps you're doing. I always tell people it's kind of like a toll booth that collects 1 penny just to see how many cars went through, not to actually take money from you, and they'll give you the penny back if you go the other way. So so anyway. Yeah, there you go. We also I want to shout out to Sarah Lyon. She's in the house, and she's got a cool background. She's behind her is her Suzuki. She was at the Denver Ohm on the Range show, along with Jonathan Knight is also in the house. And these two are great. They're regulars on the podcast here. How you guys doing? How you doing, Sarah?
Hi, good.
All right.
Good to see you. Back in California.
Yeah, yeah. It's a reunion. Everybody's here. We got all the people that worked on the bus. They're
I
kind of
know.
gathered.
I had to work on this thing a little bit more, so I couldn't come out.
I don't know if you heard this, but Sarah installed the bell. She had limited time, and she quickly installed the bell. We're going to ring it for you.
Actually, the meeting might be filtering out the bell.
Oh, it's filtering out. Okay. Anyway, sounds it's like a trolley bell. It goes ding ding. And we got the excitable Tom Summers in the house. He donated the entire bus setup and the bus itself. So there you go. How you doing, Tom?
Let's explain real quick to everybody why we do this, why we're trying to cram everything into the engine bay of a VW bus. this battery box gives us the ability to have the full interior use of the VW van for seats, cargo, or a camping setup.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, the box we got here is a EV West box. It's right there on the floor, and it's going to go up in there where the gas tank used to be and above the engine. And then right there goes the Hyper 9, which is sitting on the floor on a wheel dolly right now. Okay, so getting back to Legacy, our special guest tonight, can you guys run through how did Legacy get started? Where do you guys come from?
Yeah,
Like
what's
outer
the legacy
space?
of Legacy?
This is why he's the co-host. I'm not even that good at this. This is like that was great. All right,
what'd you
so
Love it.
Legacy of
450
Legacy. Who's taking this one?
I'll start. So for me, I come from a background of just over 20 years of industrial automation and electrical systems integration. So an entire career around building large power plants, oil refineries, fuel terminals, food processing, and there's a lot of systems that have to be integrated together to communicate and make a functioning system. So that's been a career path of mine. Started a business in that industry, and then all the while, I mean, if I go back in time, when I was as a kid, I grew up at my grandfather's service and repair gas station. So up in Portland, Oregon, if you guys are familiar with the area, it's full service. You pull a car into the gas station.
Oh, wait, that's like New Jersey. It's
Okay.
required. You're not allowed to pump your own gas. So when I was 17, I pumped gas too. So it's like
Man, I grew up out on the islands pumping gas, washing windows. My grandpa was his gas station was like people wore bow ties. You had to be clean shaven, check every tire, wash it. So service was always like a big, I mean, you meet all kinds of celebrities. There was like this novelty. There were people who would come check out the gas station. And
that's awesome.
So grew up.
Wait, I got a question. Okay. Well, you worked for your dad, you said, but when I worked and at the end of the night, I would have to bring the wad of cash and the credit card checkout, and then I would have to tally it up. And if I was off by a penny, this guy would take it out of my salary, which was like $5 and $5.50 or something like that per hour. So if I was off, I would get 5 cents less. Whatever it was. If I was off by $10, boom, that would be gone. I don't know if they did that to you.
No, they did. I mean, my grandfather didn't do that to anybody, but this gas station was on Northeast 47th and Sandy, and Northeast 47th, and Sandy, in Portland, and it was pretty rough. And so all through high school, I still work there. I lived 45 minutes away, and I'd drive and I'd work, get there at 6 a.m., work a Saturday morning day shift, Saturday night shift, and then a Sunday day shift, and then drive 45 minutes back home and spend the week at school doing everything else that I wanted to do. So always been an automotive enthusiast, always loved cars, built a lot of cars over the years. And to be honest, never connected my knowledge of electrical systems integration with my passion for cars until I drove a Tesla P100D. This was back in 2018. So I was kind of in the camp of like, don't screw up my hot rods, like don't tell me what to do. I'm not good at that. And so I drove a buddy's Tesla P100D and was like, this is insane. And just the performance. So for me, I came into this excited about the performance of an electric vehicle, and then my entrepreneurial juices start flowing with like, we got to do something in this space, and almost feel like I was born for this. Like my love for automotive, all my experience in it, and then all my knowledge around electrical systems. So I called Mavrick and I'm like, no, actually I didn't. I called his wife first and was like, hey, I got an idea. If she supports it, then I got better chances of getting Mavrick. And so, he was in, and I'll let him talk about how he got here. But, my electrical background, his education background, that really is where the recipe came from for legacy.
That's great. I love hearing that because I think that there's a little confusion from the general public. Whenever I talk about electric cars, they always think to themselves, oh man, this guy wants to ban gas cars. And I'm like, no. Like I work on gas. I have gas cars. Like I rode motorcycles and stuff, like we're not trying to take anything, but we like options and we like power.
Yeah.
And efficiency is kind of interesting. So why not? And it's just power mechanics. So I'm a 19-year high school automotive instructor, kind of like a mix of a lot of stuff. We also do like some metal work. We do welding and stuff. It's a small shop in New Jersey. And I come out here in the summer when I can. But one of the things we do is power mechanics. So on the wall, there's a plaque that says power mechanics. It doesn't care whether you're doing it with gasoline and you're making it go roundy, or like the transmission. I always tell people the transmission of the car or the wheels, they don't care how you made that power, right?
Mhm.
So I feel like you'd appreciate that. Yeah. Cool. Thanks, Rob. That was good. Actually, yeah, the question was broader. It was more not broader. I was actually like, where did you guys start? Where did you guys get your start? Because legacy is really an assembly of great people. So Mavrick, please go ahead. Tell us the legacy of Mavrick.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, Ron. Well, I'll take part of the blame for Rob being a little hesitant on EVs because I was an earlier adopter on EVs. So I drove a 2014 Ford Focus Electric, and some of you on this call may know that was an EV model, but most people don't. They sold less than like 6,000 of them, I'm pretty sure, mostly because it had a 72-mile range. It did not have much range. So if we think range anxiety is bad today, it was a lot worse about 10 years ago. And funny enough, I showed up at the dealership to buy the car, and I lived about 50 miles from the dealership. Fast math in my head, that works. I got 22 miles to spare, should be good to go. And got on the freeway here in Arizona, turned on the AC, and the range immediately dropped down to 48 miles. And I was like, uh-oh, I didn't account for that. And so I pulled over, tried to find a charger, didn't even have the charging app on my phone. And so I'm immediately trying to like download ChargePoint or PlugShare or whatever I can find to figure out where to go. Showed up at the charger, and it ended up being a CHAdeMO plug instead of a J plug. So I like tried to plug it in and it didn't work. And I was like, is this like Android versus iPhone? Like, is there different plugs? Did I just buy the wrong version?
You were putting Betamax into a VHS there.
Yeah. It's like, there's no chargers for my car available. Where do I go? So I was like, all right, I'm going to scrap it, try and get home, not use the AC, just intermittently, and we'll see how this goes. I used the AC a little too much, ran out of juice on like my maiden voyage in my new EV. And so you may be able to guess who my first call was. It was Rob. And he came to pick me up, and just the whole way home was like, dude,
that wasn't helping.
Yeah, this thing is a glorified golf cart. You can't even get home from the dealership. You're probably not even going to be able to make it to and from work.
Yeah, hashtag compliance car there on those early Fords.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that is. Rob's like, I told you.
Yeah. Just confirming all his suspicions on EVs there in that first experience. So, I ended up really loving the car and had a lot of great experiences with it. The high voltage battery went out on me during ownership, which ended up being a whole thing to try and figure out how to get fixed. At first, I didn't realize that the battery had a special warranty that was longer. So I took it to a local shop because I didn't know what was going on. And the local shop was like, what is this? We don't know how to diagnose it. We don't know where to get the parts. We don't know how to fix it. And so when we started Legacy, we just talked a lot about what does Rob's grandfather's full service gas station and automotive repair business look like in the era of e-mobility? What is that like mom and pop shop I took my Ford Focus to get fixed? What does that look like in the area of e-mobility? And that's really why we've got this training first approach, because we know that if anybody's going to take part in this industry, there's new enough technology here that it's going to require being able to learn how it works and how to make it all connect together, which is where my background comes in. I got 10 years of experience in teaching, graduated college, and had big plans to go be a lawyer and do that thing, and joined Teach for America, and was placed in,
don't worry.
Yeah. Joined Teach for America and was placed in Phoenix, and did my core experience, which is 2 years. If you don't know Teach for America, it's like Peace Corps, but for schools here in the States, and taught reading to a bunch of ESL students, for 2 years and just fell in love with teaching. After that, I was able to move on to a charter school that was just getting established and be the math director there and build all like project-based learning curriculums. We had no walls on any of our classrooms. Everything we taught was through a project. So I got to build a bunch of curriculum that was all about how do you learn by doing, and really just cemented this like passion for teaching and teaching in really fun, innovative, and exciting ways that engage students. So that's been a pillar of what we're doing here at Legacy EV really since we started, of like, how can we create meaningful and engaging learning activities for students that make them want to come to school every day? And then how can we prepare them for a workforce that's evolving really rapidly?
Yeah, speaking of curriculum, it was really awesome to meet Bailey when you guys were out here for the conference. And yeah, everything you just said, I was like, oh yeah, it sounds like. So was there a connection there with you in like the teaching aspect, and like how did you get involved there with and getting the curriculum going there?
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually met Bailey during my time as a Corps member in Teach for America. Bailey was 2 years ahead of me in the Corps, and she taught just down a class and over a class. She was the science teacher. And so as soon as we started building our curriculums here at Legacy, I was like, I got to get in touch with Bailey and with Tom, who's another one of our instructors, to help build this curriculum. Because I knew from like a pedagogy standpoint, we're all very aligned in how we want to build programs and make really engaging content. And they're rock stars. I mean, they have built some really, really cool programs that we're really proud to represent and bring to schools.
Nice.
Well, I want to add, a lot of people don't know
ahead.
part of Bailey's story is she's actually from Detroit. Both her parents work for the Big Three. She leaves Detroit. I think she graduated high school in like 2008. So she was part, the market crash there. And she's like, I'm getting out of here and I'm staying away from the automotive industry. And she went into teaching, and look at how it just came back full circle, where like it's in her blood, man. She is, and I didn't know that at first. And we were at an event and she was speaking at it, and yeah, she almost got me in tears with this like story of being from automotive, getting into teaching, and now giving back to the automotive industry. So pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. Wow. I mean, it's great that you guys are come from teaching and hiring teachers, and I really applaud that, because the shop teachers pretty much are the ones that, and some of the science teachers and some of the math, they have the project-based learning. And I feel bad for the teachers that have to do what the state tells them to do, and they can't innovate and come up with new ideas. I was lucky. I found shop teacher. I didn't even know that was a thing. I did not have shop class growing up, ironically. I just finished year 19 teaching shop class. And what it does is it allows you to be flexible. You could do an EV project, or you could do a gasoline project, or you could add welding to your program. It's really flexible. If you do industrial arts, is what they used to call it. Now they call it STEM. They got to invent new ideas, new ways of calling it. Yeah, there you go. STEM. Yeah. So pretty cool. Wow. So I didn't realize you guys had the so much education background, and I really applaud that. I know about Teach for America. I didn't do it, but a lot of people I knew did that in New York City, and that's rough. They put you in the South Bronx when you start. Oof. And I actually started in the South Bronx as well, but that was because I knew one of the principals. So I survived. And but the kids are great. You know what I mean? Like you just engage, do something cool, draw a car, and you win them over. And it's no problem. I remember my first situation there was they said, my teacher that was teaching me, my mentor, she's like, what do you like doing? I was like, I draw cars and I like to build stuff. And she's like, just draw a car. I drew a car, and all these kids around me were like, oh my God, teach me that. I was like, this is no problem. Let's do this. So I was like, let's just draw cars and build them. I was like, I can't believe that's a job. So anyway, yeah, I kept going with that. But yeah, let's get on to the next thing. So, okay, actually, we kind of covered what Legacy does. So now let's talk about the future, right? What do you want to give the world in the next 10 years?
Especially with everything you just said about, mom and pop shops. We have a whole industry to train of cars to fix, and as the more EVs, so I don't want, hopefully that's what you're going to talk about, but we'd love to hear more about that.
Sure. They're basically training their future customers.
Yeah.
And it's kind of interesting because I train a lot of my students. They become adults, and then they become into the workforce a lot. You know, I've got students that work at Proterra, Tesla, yeah, and Actually, I always make the joke with them when they're early in when they're still teenagers. I say, listen, I don't really care about you. I just need you to be really successful in case I need a job one day. I want to get hooked up later. So, no, but basically what happens is they're young adults. You can't treat the kids as if they're going to be kids the whole time. They're like a sneeze away from being an adult. So they're young adults. So give them good projects. Give them some responsibility besides just the drill press or making cutting boards. I mean, come on, let's get to the next thing, you know? And so some of those kids end up working at Tesla and end up working at Proterra, maybe even Legacy, who knows? And yeah, so what do you see happening and what do you guys want to do without revealing too much of the master plan? Yeah, what do you want to do in the next 10 years?
All right, Maverick, cut me off if I breach an NDA, okay?
You got it.
So, I mean, our mission is, if you've heard our mission statement, honor the past, protect the future. And I think that's the core of what we want to do. I feel like when we're talking about legacy and stuff we have going on, sometimes it's like, wow, you guys, there's so many, you're doing so many different things. And while it is a lot of different things, it's like, well, it's still the same thing over and over again. It's integration, it's education, and it's parts distribution. Whether it's going to meet the president of a Central American country who needs trained technicians and what, you know, or, you know, we've got so many different things going on that are exciting. It's, I just think I'll tell a story. So part of my background, my wife and I were counselors for summer camp in our younger days. And for me, that's something that I've always been passionate about, the idea of like kids getting opportunity to do something that they wouldn't otherwise get. We had boats and they get to wakeboard and water ski and stuff like that. And it was something I really enjoyed. Maverick knows, like I still daydream about how to make certain things like that happen. And we have our in-person training program. And after the first 4 or 5, Maverick comes in my office one day and he's like, you realize we basically do like summer camp for gearheads. And it really,
yeah, that's really cool.
That like these people are, I think we've trained people from 18 different countries. So we got this big map out in our warehouse, and anyone who comes to take the training has to put a lightning bolt sticker where they came from. And it's really cool to see this world map. And these are people who had their boots on the ground in our facility for the 1 week in-person training. And for me, that's one of the things I love the most. We do it. Typically, we're doing it like 1 week a month right now, but we've expanded our facility to where our expectation is to be doing it every week all the time. So we're really excited about that. We feel like people who come and do it love it. They want an excuse to come back and do it again. So, you know, that's, I mean, there's all kinds of projects we could talk about.
Rob, this is huge what you're doing. And I want to applaud what you're doing because you are building the future by doing these summer camps, which I didn't even know about till you're mentioning it here. That's great. You know, one of the things I had to do growing up, it was I didn't have that opportunity. We had camps where you just like kick a ball around, you know, like playing volleyball and stuff. Nothing happening. I'm going to be a professional volleyball player. No, I want to get my career started early. So what I would do is I would take my bicycle and I would go to the junkyard. And they had this junkyard where this guy would let me hang out there. And I learned about how to take the parts apart. And one of the things I looked at was the plastic deterioration in the sun and which cars held up better than others. So it's kind of like an R&D shop, but people don't see it that way. So it was an unstructured situation. It was just rare. But what you're doing is you're providing the structure and you're providing kids to play in their new field that they could go into. They don't have to be mechanics, but what you're providing something that a lot of us, you've grown up, wish we had. And that's what I wish I had. So I applaud you for doing that. I appreciate it. Very cool. Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
continue.
I mean, I just think about what it feels like for a kid, or even not a kid, but a young adult or an adult, where when you complete something or you fix something or you just understand. I mean, I think it's empowering, even if it doesn't become your career path. If a kid in junior high is part of an after school program where they make an electric go-kart work, like, I just think that what that does to their confidence, their self-esteem, like I can build stuff, like, you know what I mean? That's just, I
Super
don't think
cool.
everyone needs to be in the industry, but like, I love the thought of people having those.
The high school, they emphasize sports, which is great. But I looked up how many people go pro from the school I teach at. It's kind of like one person every 100 years. So, like maybe they could shift the budget a little bit towards career development. It's like, I mean, it's kind of like super obvious, but I don't know. All the schools follow the sports route. How many pro players are coming out of the high school? Very few. Although they should offer it, but maybe skewed a little towards power mechanics and systems and manufacturing, right? That would be pretty cool. Awesome. Yeah. All right. Well, what else you got for us? Maybe Mavrick, give us what do you think the future? What do you see in the next 10 years? It could be from you guys, or what do you see happening in this industry? What do you want to contribute?
Yeah, no, totally. It's a great question. We do talk about this a lot of where do we see the business and ourselves in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, and a couple big themes come to mind for me. I mean, one is, I think, really helping the workforce to see what their role looks like in automotive in an EV centric auto industry. I think there's a lot of question marks and asterisks around that right now of like, what does a job look like at a quick lube place right now for an auto worker? And like, jobs are not going to go away. They're going to be created as more EVs enter the road. There's opportunity that abounds, and we just need to help people see that and understand how to capture it. And so that's really what our approach has been at really every level, from the student that's in the middle school classroom to the young adult who's entering the workforce to the entrepreneur who's starting a business. Like, how can we help everybody understand what their role looks like in EV? So if we're helping people do that, I think we've accomplished our greater goal at Legacy. And then for me, just as a teacher, we just hosted this event like 2 weeks ago where we brought in 30 instructors from all over Maricopa County. And we gave them this go-kart that they're going to be teaching a class on and taught them how to use it and work with it. And it's been something that we've been working on for really, I mean, two years now, essentially, of like getting to a point where we can have a middle school program available. That's where I started teaching, and so that's where I fell in love with the idea of teaching. And the idea that we can build a tool that now 30 teachers can go use with their 40 students is like an exponential return on just creating joy in the classroom for me. And so to watch those instructors get super excited about teaching these classes was like, there's going to be 600 students that are more excited to show up to school this fall than there were last year. And that's really cool.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I will say, as a teacher, whenever I learn something, like if I do a project over the summer, I come in super stoked to teach. And last summer, I did an off-grid system, solar panels, battery backup. Plus, we did the bus as well. So I did 2 projects. It was a crazy summer. But the following, just past year, we did a off-grid food trailer. So we got solar panel, battery backup. We got a Victron inverter, and we have a fridge and a warmer and plugins and like a thing that comes up. It's like you could sell burritos or ice cream out of it. It's amazing. So that's going to be at all the sports games coming up in the fall. And I would say, I would encourage, there's one thing I want to add is that there's the EV people are super stoked because they're like gas people that turned into EV people, and now they're spreading the knowledge and stuff. But the off-grid people are our cousins, and the off-grid people are cousins of ours, but they just don't know it. So the off-grid people and the EV people, they need to get together. I'm telling you, because that's part of the same family. So it's just power electronics. It's awesome.
Tell them why you wanted to do the 48 system.
Oh, I was thinking about doing a 48-volt system with a mini Hyper 9. I think there's one available now. But because you could then go straight to a Victron inverter, and so you could have an AC inverter and hook up to your motor controller inverter, and so you run it off the same pack. You know, I'm not sure how efficient it is because you got to have thicker wires and whatnot. but just cool stuff happening in the EV. I really like that you guys are heavy on education. I think that's the move. So I appreciate that. Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, Rob, was there anything else you wanted to add? I feel like you got another. Give us one more story. Come on.
Oh, geez. I want to be a good one.
Well, I wanted to know more about that big truck you've been having on your Instagram stories lately. The one that has the Revolt motor in there.
Oh my gosh, it is amazing. Listen, that's actually, you're putting salt in a wound, because the day that thing was here, I had out of office meetings. I came home to see videos on people's phone of it, and I was like, Mark brought it over? What? Nobody even warned me. And so I haven't. Last time I saw it in person was when it got dropped off at Vintage Iron to get done. Nothing had been done to it yet. So I still haven't gotten to. Mark and I have been talking about once a week, because that thing is blowing up. Like it's
Wow.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to find some B-roll to put on this podcast so people can see what I'm talking about.
Is it the one where it's on the bed?
It's like coming through the bed down the other way.
It's a V. Yeah. So I don't know if you get boat. Yeah, like a boat. And so it's mounted in the back of the flatbed. It's a cab over that's kind of, I say rat rotted out, but I don't like, sometimes that is like a derogatory statement to some. The thing's cool. It's really nice. So
that's awesome.
I'm just trying to think of a good story. Is there one I should be telling, Mav, I'm not thinking of?
Yeah, I've got a quick one that I can share. That it's just more of a personal anecdote, but it's pretty fun. Last February, I went to the Philippines, and I went for Legacy EV. The White House had this presidential trade investment mission where they're going to send 22 businesses from the U.S. over to the Philippines that are doing business in the country to help better establish trade relations. And I went over with Apple Diap, one of the Black Eyed Peas, because we're working together to build an EV Center for Excellence in the Philippines. Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's crazy looking.
It is so fast.
That is crazy. Look at that takeoff. It's gone. That thing's probably 10,000 pounds just flying around. Look at this. That's ridiculous looking.
Yeah, it's gotten so much coverage that I called Mark and was like, Mark, we got to take it to SEMA.
What was the original truck? Like, what is it?
I think it's a Dodge cab over. Would be like what year would that be? 37, 40.
Very cool.
Probably somewhere between 36 and 1942.
That's wild.
I'm not really well versed on my Dodge cab overs, so.
Yeah, that's wild. All right, so take us out with a story. But I just want to quickly give a shout out to the location we're at. There's so many people here gathered here, and we do a lot of cool projects. We have EVLC in San Marcos, California. Is such a cool thing, gathering so many people together, and it looks like rising tide because you guys are really gathering a lot of people as well. It's just an amazing thing. I think, I started messing around with EVs back in 2008, but I have never seen this much activity before. I gotta say, it is like going like wildfire, and it's great. So I applaud it. All right, so Mavrick, take us out with a story. What do you got in the Philippines?
Yeah. So, I got to go to the Philippines with Apple Diap, one of the Black Eyed Peas, and he's a Filipino American. So he is a big star in the US, but he's an even bigger star in the Philippines. And so what a just wild experience that journey was in general. But we were part of this presidential trade investment mission. And so we signed an MOU with the Asian Development Bank, Apple Diap, and Legacy EV in front of the Philippines government, as well as officials from the American government. And the American government witnessed one MOU signing while we were all there, and it was ours. So I have a picture with Apple Diap, one of the Black Eyed Peas, Secretary Raimondo from the Department of Commerce, and a group of very high-level executives and leadership from the Philippines government. But to kick it all off, or to close it all out, we're going to go to dinner with one of the American ambassador to the Philippines on the U.S. Asian Development Bank, and we got to ride together in Apple's car with his whole team and go to dinner at the ambassador's house, and it was just such a cool experience. They have special china and cutlery that only ambassadors and the presidents have, and it was catered by like a celebrity chef, and it was just a super fun experience. And they told me while I was there, if they even break one of the plates, they can't throw it away. They have to save it because the U.S. government has to come and reconcile the plates that have been broken. They can't lose any. And the ambassador, Chantel Wong, is making a book of her experience as an ambassador. And she's doing a headshot of everybody that's come to have dinner at her house. And so she took a headshot of me while I was there. So I'll be in her book when she goes to publish it, which will be pretty cool. But it was just a real experience and just one of those seminal moments for me at Legacy, where I'm like riding with somebody whose music I love in a foreign country, going to dinner with an ambassador and getting to take a photo with her for her book. And it was just super fun and cool. So earlier this year, still one of my favorite stories to tell.
That is awesome.
We have a question from the gallery wanting to know, so you mentioned the leader there. So was that in the capital, or what part of the Philippines was that?
Yeah, we were in Manila, and I remember specifically I met Secretary Go and Secretary Pascual from, I believe, Energy and Commerce were the two departments that were represented there. The rest of the group did actually go to the presidential palace. We were split into two groups, and so I didn't go to the presidential palace in the Philippines, unfortunately, but Apple Diap did, and he took lots of pictures for me to show me when he got back.
And so let me just understand. So were they asking you what your opinion of where to take their transportation needs or education? Is that why you were there?
Yeah, that was a big part of it. We're working with Apple to establish an EV training center there. And so Apple's got a philanthropic foundation in the Philippines, and so we'll work with him to build this training center, really, to teach techs and students of all ages how to work on and build EVs.
Wow, amazing, dude, awesome. Okay, look, we're gonna wrap it up there. We can't beat that one. I know Rob's got a story in his pocket, but that was pretty good. Next time. Well, I really appreciate you guys taking the time. Mavrick and Rob from Legacy. There is a legacy to the legacy. And we are here at the EVLC with all the great volunteers, and they are working away right now on yeah, we got Kevin in over there. We have this guy just graduated. He's a mechanical engineer, I think. That's what he told us anyway. I don't know. I'm not sure. Mini G, what's your degree?
Cognitive science.
Cognitive science. Let's kick this guy out. I have no idea what that is. No, I'm just kidding.
Sorry, I mean electrical.
Oh, okay. There, okay. We got Mike Norin. He does testing on electric power systems. We got Zach here. He's gonna come up. What are you working on now, Zach?
EV stuff.
Yeah.
I actually talked to Maverick about this before, but
okay,
it's coming.
good.
It's coming.
Okay, yeah, you got a software thing going on or something.
Yes.
Okay, very cool. Very cool.
Software controls for the DIY folks.
Oh hell yeah! There we go. And we got Omar. He helped build the contactor, the box, put it all together, and he's in the EV space. So yeah,
I'm a volunteer.
He is a volunteer. Cool. And we got Jesus. He works up. You know those sprinklers, Hunter sprinklers? It's right down the road. And he comes over. He's a machinist over there. He comes over here and gives us all his knowledge. There we go. Manufacturing. And then we got Kevin. Kevin's got something called the can opener.
Yeah.
And this is a way to read the can. It's in? Yeah. Oh, dude. So we can read the can. If anybody wants to know what can is, I call it the party line. Not complicated past that, right? It's basically a party line. Everyone's invited. Everybody's talking at once. That's why you got to speak in code. And I think we covered everybody. We got to give a special shout out to Tom Summers. He donated a ton of the projects here. The excitable Tom Summers.
Furthermore, we're going to be in the Philippines ourselves, January and February. Spend a month over there every year. We have others. Douglas also is planning to relocate to the Philippines and do EV related stuff. So yeah, we're one big family and growing all the time.
Shout out to Talik, co-host. He does a lot of work behind the scenes to make us all look good. Yeah, there you go. All right, well, thanks so much, and looking forward to see you guys in the future. I really appreciate you guys taking the time.
Awesome. Thank you for having us. It was great to chat with all of you.
All right. Okay. All right. Thanks a lot.